in studio, Gideon Resnick. Gideon has a new podcast out called "What a Day" with Crooked Media, and he's got a co-host, Akilah Hughes. She's a writer and comedian. So Gideon, welcome, and tell me, what is "What a Day"?
Yeah, effectively, it's a 15-minute daily news podcast. We're trying to basically get everybody up to speed on everything without it being really dour, and without necessarily having to come at it from a sort of DC punditry angle where we have to be very stilted and respectful all the time. Trying to make it a little looser and have a bit more fun and sort of talk the way that other people would talk about news as they're also processing it, but do it in an authoritative way at the same time too.
Yeah, I vote against respectful, so I agree with that. In terms of, so you've got the journalism background. You were at Daily Beast and a bunch of places, the Vice, New York Observer, Atlantic, etc. And so how much? But you can't do that much of the news in 15 minutes, right? So tell me how it's going to work. How much of the news are you guys covering, and then do you present and Akilah responds, or how does that work?
Yeah, we've been doing something slightly different basically every day that we go at it. So we're tinkering, we're in our third week on it. But essentially we pick two main stories that each of us are gonna focus on, and we'll kind of be the experts on those stories every single day. So it might be something that is like 2020 primary stuff, it might be something that is impeachment, or something that is slightly off kilter that we might not get from another show, like an affirmative action vote on the ballot in Washington State. So we get to kind of call the shots in an interesting way, and we get to approach it the way that both of us sort of want to, but still making it kind of cohesive within 15 minutes. So yeah, we're trying not to be like too scattershot and like assuming that if you listen you're gonna get everything that you need to know, but hopefully you get the stuff that you would want to talk about the most and the stuff that is going to be relevant to the audience.
So who is the intended audience? Because Crooked Media is in an interesting place, right? So we've got like us, the Young Turks, we're just for outsiders, right?
Yeah.
So some insiders watch to see like, hey, what's the rest of the country up to? Okay, with a skeptical eye. And then name it, Meet the Press, obviously totally for insiders,
right.
etc. So who are you guys going for? Both overall in Crooked Media, but specifically, obviously in What a Day. A little bit of Beltway crowd, not Beltway crowd. Yeah,
I think. Honestly, like I think anybody that wants to listen to it is more than welcome to. But I think my specific approach is to make it less Beltway-ish. Just because like I think that the way that everyone talks about politics, especially from the world that I'm from, is very respectful of both sides and deferential to both sides in a way that sometimes the argument doesn't make sense the way that they're articulating it. You turn on Meet the Press and you're a regular viewer at home, a regular voter, and you're like, why are these guys talking in the way that they're talking? It doesn't make sense to me. So I don't necessarily think, I think that we want to capture a younger audience that views politics in the way that they're viewing it, given how they've come up. And I think that what part of that means in terms of my particular ethos is we don't necessarily have to indulge in sort of the bad faith arguments that other people might be presenting just because we feel that we have to, that we can talk more plainly if we want to talk more plainly. And
so to what degree are you guys going to have a perspective?
I think we have like a defined perspective. Yeah, I mean I think a strong one, in the sense that I don't want to sugarcoat things that certain people are doing, but at the same time I want to be very clear and say when things are good or where things are bad. And I think that it's important to have an avenue where those shots can be called in a way that it is more refreshing than sort of the, not to keep using the Chuck Todd example, but the sort of, well, what are folks saying about this today? I think that one of the crucial things is having that sort of point of view guided throughout it, and a kind of morality, I guess, that's guided throughout it.
So in the podcasting world, there are people to the left of us. So for example, Chapo Trap House, right? So I imagine they would be significantly to the left of you, right? And like, as they're significantly to the left of us. So, and not a remark on you, but a remark on them, okay? And I've had them on the show too. They're really smart guys, etc. will you be doing any oil wrestling with them to make sure that you guys win the podcasting wars?
Yeah, I mean, those guys are great. I think, yeah, if we want to do some sort of Greco-Roman wrestling type of thing in front of a live audience, that could be a lot of fun. No, I mean, in all seriousness, like, I think everybody's going for slightly different goals every single day, right? Ours is sort of more, I guess, straight up newsy, and we are trying to meet that baseline of you're on your morning commute and like you genuinely might not know what is happening in the impeachment hearing for the day. So like we have to start with that meat and potatoes for you too, and then maybe if we have the time, get into a little bit more of the conversation of like how are we feeling about the state of politics? How are we feeling about the state of the world? About climate change? About things like that? So it seems very kind of differentiated, but the more the better, the more smart people talking about things in a smart way, I think is cool.
Yeah, we have a show called Damage Report, and that is, yes, it's for the Trump era, right? Every morning you wake up, you need damage report on what's happened. So is What a Day a similar reference? And so then what happens in the non-Trump era?
That's a great question. I think that none of us really know what happens in the non-Trump era, right? Because we've sort of trained our brains to that reality for so long. But I mean, I think that there are issues that we have talked about and will continue to talk about that go well beyond Trump, that have existed for years in the country and will continue to exist. And I think that one of the interesting things, if you're talking strictly about presidential politics, is what does the state of media for us and for other people look like if there is a new administration next year? And I think that there has to be a level of accountability that exists whoever it is. And I think that the role shifts, but the role is still sort of, if we were thinking that these people were promising XYZ, are they following through on their promises of XYZ? Are these issues that preceded President Trump and led to President Trump being addressed, or are we sort of back at it again, kind of doing the same old, same old? I think that that's an interesting question that everybody in both regular media, progressive media, left of progressive media is all going to have to sort of think through after this is all said and done.
So then let's play a fun game, okay?
Yeah.
Quick responses since you do have a perspective. Trump, monster, yes or no?
I mean, yeah. I think that there's no real question about that, right? Like you want me to keep it short, but
yeah.
I mean, I think that's been proven for a long time.
Okay, IQ under or over 100?
Over.
Really? Okay. Wow.
I think he's a smart person.
Oh yeah, okay. We disagree on that. That's okay. I'm just trying to find. I think it's below 70. I'm not kidding. I think it's like has like clinical issues.
I think that he is exacting enough on certain things that he can. There's some intelligence there. I don't think that it is demonstrated in the way that people typically view academic intelligence, but to be able to succeed the way that he does, I think that there's something there.
Yeah, I like the way that you put it, Gideon. He doesn't have traditional intelligence.
Yeah.
He has non-traditional intelligence. Okay.
I sound like a Republican congressman. Yeah.
I'm voting for no intelligence, but okay. So Nancy Pelosi, corrupt or not corrupt?
That's nuanced.
Okay. We don't do nuance on the show, Gideon, okay? That's for your damn show. No, I'm kidding, go ahead.
I mean, it's less of a question of, you're talking about corrupted in the influence of money and the way that has influenced any politician for eons and eons. I guess in that sense, the answer would have to be yes, in terms of the actual money on the table, but in terms of like the broader definition, like on a scale versus other people, I think there's room to disagree in that sense.
Okay, I get it. So, and everybody agrees, it's not corrupt like Trump's corrupt, like not personal corruption, but yeah, queen of systemic corruption, if you ask me. But that's why we're having a conversation. Okay, so the king is Mitch McConnell, obviously. Okay, so would Bernie have won in 2016?
Yeah.
Okay. Would Bernie win in 2020?
I think so.
If he was the general election candidate.
Yes. I think so. Yeah, I think he and I think I would say I think that most of them stand a good chance. I think that there are a couple who don't stand as good of a chance.
Oh, and who are they?
I think that from right now, I don't want to eat my words next year in terms of predictions, but I think for right now, if you set the election this very day, I think Joe Biden has particular weaknesses that get exposed by Trump in a way that some of the other candidates do not have the weaknesses directly exposed in the same way.
So Warren more electable than Biden?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you were putting your odds there, yeah, I think so.
Okay, yep, I totally agree. If Bernie is at a 10 on progressives, what is Elizabeth Warren at?
I would say maybe an 8.
Wrong, 9. Okay. All right, seriously, let's keep going. Biden.
On that scale?
Yeah.
He's probably a 6.
Wrong, 4.
Okay.
Last one, Buttigieg.
Are we talking early of the year, early 2019 Buttigieg?
Whatever,
Buttigieg?
Whoever this Buttigieg is today, I guess.
I think current is probably also 4 or 5.
Yeah, agreed, 4. So I'm being fair. I'm not putting them at 1 or anything like that. Yeah, they have progressive positions. They don't hate black people and gay people, etc. Although Biden's still against busing, but okay. And Buttigieg has a terrible record on African Americans in South Bend. But anyway, you see my point.
Right.
Okay, all right. Look, it's gonna be a fun show called What a Day. It's on Crooked Media, so people can check it out on crooked.com. That's a good way to go to it.
Yeah, or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc., wherever people are listening to podcasts these days. Yeah.
All right, Gideon Resnick, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
The TYT Plus app is now available on iOS and Android. Download to get more TYT content at tyt.com/app.